I'm Tony Skrocken. I'm a native Swiss. I'll guide you through here, tell you a little bit about the history of Emmy Roth. Roth in Switzerland started out in 1863. Already a son of the first cheesemakers in 1911 moved to the United States. And he moved to New York and he imported the cheeses that the family made, and started to sell them in the United States.
My name is Mike Green. I am the plant manager, and I'm also a licensed cheesemaker. This plant originally started in 1991. It's a culmination of about 7 generations of cheesemaking experience. In 1991, the thought process was, let's go in and start producing the artisanal cheeses here in the great state of Wisconsin.
But we are an artisanal cheese company that produces fantastic individual artisanal cheeses. We can make up to 7, 8 different cheeses on a daily basis. We are not a commodity plant in any way. Obviously, the milk is the most important product here. Milk, probably the most natural, the best food on earth.
So first thing we do is we take the milk in. Comes from 3 farmers cooperatives. There's about 80 farms that represent that. These are family farms. You turn those cheeses around and you're going to see 4 ingredients. You're going to see milk, you're going to see cheese cultures, rennet, and salt. Again, we're purists. We believe you're going to taste the difference, and that's very critical.
One thing that, of course, we have here in Wisconsin, in this area, is really great soils. We have some of the most mineral-rich soils throughout the entire United States. And that's for we have a milk, that is richer on those minerals. We have a cheese that has a taste like none others can be produced.
And notice at this point, look at the copper lining in this. The copper linings in the vats themselves. It is extremely critical in Gruyere production to have these copper-lined vats in. There's actually a marriage in the cheese-making process where the copper lining itself goes in and reacts with the cheese and is absolutely critical. This is where you defy all odds. You can put squares into round holes. The cheese itself is very, very pliable at this point. We're going to go in and take that piece and put it in a round hoop. Each one of those pieces of cheese is about 23 and a half pounds in weight right now. The forms themselves, the stainless ones are over 20, so when you see the guys tossing this stuff around, they're like 50 pounds at a time. So you can see the forearms. It's part of our personal exercise program.
The salt brine is 90 to 95% saturated salt solution. That all the cheese is actually going into there. We are a natural cheese making company. We are purists.
There's over 18,000 pounds of salt in the 2 tanks. The reoccurring questions is, how often do you change it? And the answer is, you don't. You go back into Europe, the most highly valued asset they have is brine and brine tanks, and some of those have been in existence well over 100 years.
So this is cheese, like our Gran Queso. These are Gouda blocks that are waiting here to be bagged and packed to go out. This is a Gran Queso, the cheese that the inspiration came from the Spanish Manchego. But here, of course, we make it with cow's milk, not like they make in Spain with sheep's milk.
Welcome to affinage. Again, affinage, French word to finish. What you're looking at is imported technology from Switzerland.
We have a total of about 80 to 85,000 wheels and squares of Gruyere that we are aging. And as I mentioned before, that is what we are really good at. The Europeans, they have aged cheese for centuries, 700-800 years ago. Aging cheese is actually a science and it is an art, all blended together.
What these rooms are, the technology behind it, is to duplicate the environment caves experience year-round. Again, humidity and temperature playing a very key role in curing these cheeses.
As you see too, the cheese is all aged on wooden boards. It is spruce tree, you know, for an alpine spruce tree board, and that board has exactly the right consistency to let that cheese live, breathe, give them a little moisture, take a little moisture off, you know. But here you see these wheels, when it comes out of the salt brine, we put them in a room like this, and for the first 3 weeks, they are washed, they are smeared with a robot actually on a daily basis. This robot actually takes laser driven, takes one board at a time, brings it down, pushes that cheese off, turns it around, and then washes it with brushes, with a rind forming culture, pushes it back onto that wooden board, and back up they go.
So what happens during the wash rind process, it's going to go in and wash the surface of the cheese and the sides, but not the bottom. And over time you start looking this beautiful patina. It's cured from the outside in as well as the inside out. And that dual curing process directly affects the body of the cheese and the flavors that are imparted within it. The same make, and the only difference is time in the cellars. So the first cheese that we have here is our Grand Cru. It is about 4.5 months. You see how flexible that is? That elasticity. This particular cheese here will have some very mild tones to it. It's going to start having some earthy tones coming through, maybe a little citrusy. So the next one is 6 months. We're literally talking about only 8 weeks more in the cellars. You see how it was losing some of its flexibility. The flavor profile is starting to become more intense. You're starting to get more of those earthy flavors. The next cheese is our Surchoix. Again, we're going from Grand Cru, Reserve to Surchoix. And Surchoix is selected from the few. This is typically about 10 months old, minimum age of 9. It is an awesome table cheese. My job as a cheesemaker, I have the perfect job. I take Mother Nature's perfect food, milk, and decide what it's going to be when it grows up. On behalf of the artisanal cheesemakers and dedicated employees here at Emmy Roth, we'd like to thank you for your time.
And remember, age doesn't matter unless you are a cheese. Then, of course, it's all about age. Thank you.